Hello, hello. How are you today? Hopefully you're doing well. I'm trucking along. Just dropped off my bike at a volunteer shop near where I live. Looking to get a flat repaired. They've got better tools than I do and a nicer pump, and seems like there's a lot of vets in there. So maybe I'll volunteer with them. Even if it ain't paying work, it's work, you know? Something to put my hands to use. Moving forward. I'm about to walk on back and fire off some more applications and then do the reading for this week. I read the last section ahead of time. So I'm starting to get away from hand to mouth, getting a production schedule going, but it's not a legit schedule. I think the rant at the moment is going to be about living free within Eve Echoes. I don't recommend this for real life, but who knows? It might be necessary considering the nature of the beast, what all's going down, the cost of oil and the growth of oligarchy and just everything that's going on. The first thing you want to do to live free within Eve Echoes is to establish your own company. You don't need to be part of a greater corporation to achieve personal goals if they don't require a greater corporation. In my case, I very much like building ships, small ships, lots of them. Ventures on ventures on venture 2s, on venture 3s, with that sort of prioritization. Printing little toys, throwing them up on the market, and seeing how people play with, ventures. Don't need friends in the wild to do that, but I will happily accept friends in the wild for operations. I haven't really I've posted bookmarks to compressed spaces, but nobody's actually joined me within them, which is a little bit of a bummer, but hey, more risk for me. More is the pity. I don't get to share in person very often. There was a Tech 2 or a Level 2 compressed space in Orion for the longest time, an ENGR. I invited those guys over into it. I think folks see the 2 and they assume it's not worth it, but it's 10 times as good as a normal space. This is just bad signaling, I think, design-wise. Or maybe folks falling into bad habits. I'm not sure. But anyway, once you break free of a greater corporation and establish your own corporation, like Orbi, it becomes a savings account. The ISK I've set aside is 10% of incoming rate, and I can handle my own SRP, not including, SRP, for those unfamiliar, stands for Ship Rebuy Program. But when you make the ships yourself, you don't need someone to come in and bail you out when you fuck up. It's very easy to be independent if you make the tools that make the tools. I'm not saying seize the means of production, comrades. If anything, I'm arguing more a desire to seize the means of reproduction out in the wild. But in game, it's really easy to live free, to move from high to low to null on the regular. Once you know where the holes are, where the bubbles are porous, where the blockades aren't opaque, aren't solid. And there's a lot of close calls. I got chased by a Dramiel in my little Terra earlier today. moving the last of the ventures out. Still trickling them out to HexRex. But that's fun. Once you got your own corporation going, and once you got everything, moved out of rented space, that's the other thing. It's really disappointing how easy it is to fall into the trap of renting in-game, let alone out of game. Like, you will own nothing and you will be happy seems to be the relevant curse. But like, rent is not a subscription to existence. You'll continue existing even if you don't pay rent. It's just going to get a lot harder. In-game, difficulty is fun. Out in real life, it's just difficult. It makes things interesting. It makes for material, good stuff to write about, and fun to be had if you survive. And that's always in question. Folks here in America salute the troops and say thank you for your service to vets all over the place. And don't look twice when they see them homeless on the streets. And we've got programs to help with that. We've got the VA, which is gutted. We've got programs that expect people to have jobs, which is really just renting themselves out for an income. We rent our bodies in exchange for money to buy things that we can't keep anyway, because the rent-seeking behavior has gone all the way down to media. I got a collection of DVDs. I don't know if I'm going to have a place to keep them, right? I'm going to try and throw all my stuff into storage and spend the unemployment checks on it, but without a location to associate with those unemployment checks, there's no guarantee that I'll get that income anyway, which limits me to my VA disability. But all of that is immaterial to the immaterial world of Eve Echoes. That's all like real world nonsense. In game, it's a lot easier to have even a trickle of passive income. Once you post ships for sale below market, once you get that pipeline of goods coming and going, in game at least. Hey, how's it going? Hello. It's a lot easier to have floating ISK. I'm hoping to achieve the same sort of freedom artistically, creatively, with writing the books that I make and the things that I produce. But we don't really reward work. We reward subservience, societally speaking. Which is kind of sad, because you miss out on a lot of like adventure that way. Though adventure wouldn't be fun without the risk. And being free means being insecure. On the flip side, the more secure you are, the less free you are. So, let's say you subscribe to the doctrine of a greater corporation. You have ships that you pay for, whether with time or with real world money, that you bring to bear on behalf of a fleet commander. Sorry, flight commander is the wrong term. A fleet commander who tells you when and where to shoot, what to shoot, what to use to shoot. And it's usually very high end because you are meant to assume the risk. the corporation claims to through SRP, ship rebuy programs, but again, that's not you accepting the risk. That's not you being free to choose what you want to fly, when and where. There's a degree of security that comes from the objectification of self. If you surrender your will, others will happily take advantage of your squishy pink body to perform their will. This is the difference between, how's it going? Freedom and security. The more free you are, the less secure you are. The more secure you are, the less free you become. So, it can be difficult at times to recognize the value that comes from a free-to-play approach, from the alpha lifestyle. Because the power that comes from spending cash, from swiping that credit card, or the power, the illusion of power, that comes from becoming subservient to greater organizations, feels good. But I feel pretty good running what I have, running the operations that I've got, and building the stockpile of vessels for sale. Eventually, if and when market interest escalates. Or generating the interest myself by manipulating prices. Both of those things feel really fun, and they don't cost a dime. They cost a lot of time and attention, but attention is the whole of existence. How you spend it, whether focusing on your breath and expanding out from there, or focusing on externalities and drawing it into yourself only when the self demands it. Attention is the whole of the ego. And the truth is, there is no line outside of perspective between an individual and where they live, the sphere of influence around them. Like the water you drink becomes a part of you, just as what you piss out was once a part of you. The delineation between self and outside of self is just another application of the ship of Theseus problem. That is to say, you die every breath and are reborn with every inhalation. And the freedom experienced, or the lack of freedom experienced, is a kind of play, as far as I can tell. Anyway, that's just a first swing at a rant about freedom versus security. It's a favorite subject of mine. But for the punchline, Eve Echoes specific, start your own corporation unless you absolutely need to borrow corporate resources to do whatever you want to do. You don't. Use it as a savings account. You set the taxes at whatever you want to set them for yourself. I keep mine at 10 just to play. But whatever. You can go up to, I think, 50 or something like that. You can go as low as 3, but remember, the kind of folks who avoid taxes, who do not recognize the need for seed corn are the kind of folks who really struggle when famine comes. I'm one of them. I'm not very good at saving. Seems too much fun to give things away more often than not. But yeah, start your own corp. Get out of serving others. Civilian stations are your bread and butter. But that's the road to freedom. Whatever that's worth. Thank you, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.